I have my microphone on, now I do. The clerk will call the roll.
Kuhn. Kuhn here, Levin. Here. Levin here, McCarville. Here. McCarville here, Miles. Miles here. Nelson. Here. Nelson here, Peters. Here. Peters here, Ratcliffe. Here. Ratcliffe here, Rip. Here. Rip here, Ritt. Here. Ritt here, Rusk. Here. Rusk here, Saloff. Here. Saloff here, Shower. Here. Shower here, Schwellenbach. Schwellenbach absent. Stubbs. Here. Stubbs here, Veldrin. Here. Veldrin here, Wegleitner. Here. Wegleitner here, Young. Here. Young here, Baird. Here. Baird here, Bollig. Here. Bollig here, Buckingham. Buckingham?
Absent.
Absent, thank you. Chavla. Here. Chavla here, Chenoweth. Chenoweth absent. Clausius. Here. Clausius here, Danner. Here. Danner here, Downing. Here. Downing here, Eicher. Here. Eicher here, Erickson. Here. Erickson here, Nguyen Hilfiger. Here. Nguyen Hilfiger here, Jones. Here. Jones here, Kiefer. Here. Kiefer here, Kilmer. Here. Kilmer here, Knoll. Knoll absent. Kolar. Here. Kolar here, Krause. Krause absent. Corrigan.
Here.
Corrigan here.
30 supervisors are present. We have a quorum. Supervisors Buckingham, Knoll, Schwellenbach, Chenoweth, and Krause had indicated they would not be able to join us this evening. Tonight we're led in our prayer and inspirational message by Supervisor Kuhn. Oops, there you go.
I'm just really not good at this. Thank you. Well, first of all, I was a little nervous about this because everybody that has done these so far, and many of the people who joined us after I joined us, have done such an amazing job that there's zero way that I could live up to what are now the expectations for an inspirational message. So what I am going to do, though, is to tie in the theme of our congratulations and farewell to our fellow colleagues who are not going to be here, specifically here anymore. But what I wanted to talk about is when I think of inspiration, and I think of what is it that we do here, and what is it that we think is inspirational. I always think that people think of all of these celebrities or other people who have to be dignitaries or governors as examples of what is inspirational. And what I want to say is that all of you, this is an opportunity for us to think about how you all are doing things that are inspirational on a regular basis. And I don't think we do that enough. And it's not to pat ourselves on the back. It's because you all are amazing people. And if you weren't amazing people, you wouldn't be here and you wouldn't choose to go this route. I think also thank you to all the people who work in our departments, the things that they have to do on a regular basis that they rarely get thanked for or noticed for, but they do it anyway because they really, really believe in serving the people. I mean, we have teachers, we have lawyers, we have soccer coaches, we have gardeners, mothers, and fathers here. And so we have to take time to really think about it. We have many people here who have been through grief this year and come here every time that they can, despite that, and do the best that they can and continue to serve this county. We have people here who have been doing doors and been targeted by police, and they still show up here and they tell other people how important it is that they are sitting at this table. So in that vein, I also want to take the opportunity to talk a little more specifically about my colleagues, Jeff and Jenny, previous supervisors, so I can call them by name now. And I know this isn't part of it, but I have known Jeff actually since he was, maybe a young child. We were both very young and in college, and I won't go on a long diatribe about it, but when I first met Jeff, I kind of thought he was a punk, and I kind of thought that he never knew what he was talking about at the time I met him. And since that time, our lives have interacted in so many different ways that we weren't even prepared for. And most recently, I had the pleasure of also serving with him in the governor's transition team. And what I saw from Jeff was just inspirational. He is a leader. He commands respect because he really cares about people, and he wants to know what they have to say, and he wants to make sure that they feel valued. And that was something that while I probably had seen it in him before, I got to see on a daily basis, and I really just hope that you all have the opportunity to thank him for how much he has done for not only the county but the state. And then Jenny, I met through my partner, just because she was working with him, and we never actually necessarily worked together, but from the day that I met her, we were always intense with each other, we were always learning from each other, and then in the last couple of months I also got to work with her even more, and I will get to work with her even more. But one of the things that Jenny always brings to the table is facts, intensity, and deep, deep, deep concern and care for the people that she is making policy for, and I think that is amazing. And hopefully you will all get to work with her in her new capacity too. But I think one of the things that makes every day happen and why inspiration is such a thing that we strive for is because sometimes we forget that people right next to us really are our inspiration in doing things every day that matter. So please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the
Pledge
flag
allegiance.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Supervisor Kuhn. First on our agenda this evening, we have a memorial to one of our former supervisors, Larry Gleesman, and Supervisor Ripp is going to read that. And if, are there family members here, or if you'd like to come up, you
I think so.
Okay.
I think I met them all last night, I'm not sure.
I knew you were doing that last night. Thank you.
Okay, there was a memorial last night for Larry Gleesman, and it says a lot about Larry. We had a room full of present and a lot of former supervisors. Some the farthest left we've ever had on the board, and pretty well the farthest right we had on the board. I think that says a lot about someone, that all sides had come together for a memorial. Larry mentored me my first term on the board on, probably don't believe it, but on the Human Resources Committee. Not known for being on that committee, I guess. We formed a special bond. We're both former Marine Corps people, which all heard the term lean and mean. We're both pretty mellow and fat. You know, we got along great, you know. So anyway, it's a true honor for me tonight to read this. It also says something that staff gave me extra large print. You know, I knew I was getting old, but I know it too, apparently. Hey, whereas Larry W. Gleesman of the city of Madison passed away on January 2nd, 2019, at the age of 79. And whereas Larry served as a member of this county board from 1980 to 1986, representing the old District 5, which included much of downtown Madison and the University of Wisconsin area. Larry served on many committees, including as chair of the Human Resources Committee and as a member of the Judiciary Committee. He was a member of many boards and commissions, including the Legislative Liaison Committee, United Services Board, and City County Commission on Sexual Assault. And whereas Larry was passionate about quality human services overall, but in particular for those with intellectual and emotional disabilities, he took an active role in development of the children's mental health system and was part of a fact-finding trip with human resources staff and supervisors to Ventura, California, a community considered a leader in children's mental health services. This visit and Dane County efforts eventually resulted in Children Come First, which to this day is a premier initiative that provides wraparound care coordination for children and youth ages 0 through 19 with diagnosed mental health concerns. And whereas upon leaving the county board, Larry moved to Williamson Street, where he purchased a building in the heart of the neighborhood and opened Grandpa's Gun Shop, retiring from active business in 2012. Additionally, Larry, a fierce defender of property rights, was hired by the Greater Madison Board of Realtors and worked as their government affairs director through the 1990s. And whereas Larry was born in Rockford, Illinois, on October 18, 1939. The only child of Bob and Marion Gleasman, he attended the University of Northern Illinois and later Milton College in Milton, Wisconsin, before moving to Madison in the mid-1960s. And Larry is remembered as a gregarious, trustworthy, and honest man who enjoyed and respected people and lively political discourse. Now therefore be it resolved that Dane County Board of Supervisors hereby pays its respects to our dear departed colleague and extends its sympathies to his family and to his many friends. And we join them in mourning the loss of a fallen colleague who gave so unselfishly to our community. I so move.
Moved by Rip, seconded by Rusk. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. The resolution is approved. I apologize, Supervisor Saloff, I didn't see you. Thank you, Supervisor Rip. Next up is the resolution recognizing February 2019 as Black History Month, and Supervisor Stubbs will be reading the resolution. And if you have guests, Supervisor Stubbs, that you want to have step forward. You can read it and then we'll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Whereas Black History Month provides a deliberate opportunity to reflect on the common humanity underlining all people and to raise awareness and foster respect for the heritage and contributions of people of African descent. And whereas this year marks 400 years since the arrival of enslaved Africans in Virginia, the existence of African and North Americans can be traced back to 1525. And through 1866, the transatlantic slave trade is estimated to have ensnared more than 12 million African American people and an estimate of 10 million surviving an unconscionable district and Middle Passage landing in North America, the Caribbean, and South America. And whereas the Wisconsin History First African Descendants in a speech given in 1725 by a chief of the Illinois Indians, in which he said, a Negro belonging to Monsieur de Beaujant at Green Bay. And whereas the United States has recognized Black History Month annually since February 12, 1926, first as Negro History Week and later as Black History Month. But noted Harvard scholar and historian Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who is known as the father of Black History Month, celebrating the ethnic and racial diversity and enriches and strengthens of our nation. And whereas both enslaved free people of African descent have participated in every aspect to Africans and Americans' effort to secure, to protect, and to advance the causes of freedom and civil rights, and have stories that have an inspiration to all citizens, that reflect the triumph of the human spirit and offers hope of every day to people that rise above prejudice and circumstances and to build lives of dignity. And whereas people of African descent or African Americans have made measurable differences in their respectful industries in Dane County, many have marked their ways, including but not limited to, first, Malele Chakasa Anana, right here in Madison, Wisconsin, publisher of the Emotion magazine, a monthly journal of positive, encouraging news about African American people and opportunities right here in Madison, a civil rights activist, a business leader, a former city of Madison affirmative action officer, and the first African American to be elected to the Madison School Board. And I'm happy to say Dane County has all these years been a subscriber to the Motion magazine. So it makes me feel proud when I stand into the Office of Equity and Inclusion and can see her publication there. So thank you, Dane County. Dr. Ruben Anthony, President and CEO of the Urban League of Greater Madison, in which we have partnered Big Steps and other initiatives in our expungement clinic. So we're very honored to have that partnership. Reverend Joseph Barron, who's standing here with me today, pastor of St. Paul AME Church and the AME's District Director of Social Action, who has worked tirelessly on the Alternatives to Incarceration committees and other committees, and an advisor of the Office of Equity and Inclusion Advisory Team. So thank you, Reverend Barron, for your work. Lisa Payton Kyer, founder of the Foundation for Black Women Wellness, a Wisconsin-based not-for-profit organization committing to eliminating health disparities and other barriers, implementing the lives of African American women and girls. James Jim Caldwell, Beloit native, NFL coach, Indianapolis Colts from 2009 to 2011, leading the team to the playoffs 4 times, Detroit Lions 2014, 2017. I grew up in Beloit, so very familiar with Mr. Caldwell. Don Krim, Secretary of Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services, and member of the Edgewood Board of Trustees and Madison Foundation Board of Trustees. Clifton Larice Gaines, former professional basketball player who played at Madison West High School and is a current assistant coach at Eastern Kentucky University, born and raised right here in Madison. Dr. Alex G., pastor of Fountain of Life Church, author, pioneer of the Nehemiah Community Center for the urban development and developing and mobilizing emerging African American leaders who have served countlessly with our Community Restorative Court and other opportunities here at the county. Dr. Richard Harris, President and CEO for Genesis Social Services and author of Growing Up Black in South Madison, who has had a contract here with us in Dane County for over 10 years. Judge Paul Hickenbotham, former judge of the Wisconsin Court of Appeals, first and only African American to serve on the court. Linda Hoskins, my mom right behind me, 52 years as a long-term community activist, former president of the Madison branch of the NAACP and the longest serving, founder of the Bridge Lake Point Neighborhood Association. Francis Huntley Cooper, Wisconsin's first and only African American mayor to the office, who served as the mayor in Fitchburg, Wisconsin. President Greg Jones, who's here with me, Dane County NAACP, longtime activist and a retiree from right here, dealing with affirmative action for many years in the state of Wisconsin. Gloria Lanson-Billing, American theorist and teacher, educator, and faculty of the University of Wisconsin-Madison School of Education, and current assistant vice chancellor of academic affairs, known for her work in her field culturally relevant and critical race theory right here in Madison, world-renowned Dr. Lanson-Billing. Vanessa McDowell, first African-American president and CEO of the YWCA. Thank her for all of her race and equity work and her partnerships here with the county. Our own district attorney, Ishmael Ozain, the first African-American district attorney in Wisconsin, currently serving as the Dane County district attorney. And Val Phillips, the first Black Wisconsin Secretary of State. Dr. Floyd Rose, president of the 100 Black Men, president of the Wisconsin Supplier Development Council for Minority Contracts and Businesses. Carolyn Stanford Taylor, Wisconsin's first African-American superintendent of the Department of Public Instructions. Whereas the list of people of African descent or African-American descent, note that Wisconsin's connection is long, it's impressive, it's inclusive. Lucianne H. Palmer, Leroy Simmons, George Edwin Taylor, Dr. Daniels Hell Williams, Violet Neatley Anderson, the Oshkosh 94, Eric Vaughn, Arthur Jones, Reggie Jackson, Malele Cogs, Colin Kaepernick, Gerald Randall, James Cossey, Curtis Hall, Satchel Paige, Condoleezza Rice, Reuben Harpo, Mark Wade Sr., Chandler Cooper, Kevin Newell, Reverend Greg Lewis, Marcus Johnson, Marsha Anderson, Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, Phil Metcalf, and Croftfield. Whereas while acknowledgement their works of these leaders, it is equally critical to appreciate both the past and the present. The long list of contributions of our fellow residents, Black History Month, gives Wisconsinites an opportunity, an occasion to recognize the significant influence of African American heritage that have been made and continues to be made here in the areas of medicine, and art, and politics, and human rights, and education, sports, economic development, and the list goes on, including our former president, Barack Hussein Obama. Now, therefore, be it finally resolved that the Dane County Board of Supervisors recognizes February 2019 as Black History Month and extends appreciation to the above-named persons for their contributions to Dane County, the state of Wisconsin, the country, and their fellow residents. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for Dane County Board of Supervisors recognizing our first ever Black History Month.
Moved by Supervisor Stubbs, seconded by Supervisor Kuhn. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the resolution is approved.
Thank you.
And I would note that it does miss one significant contribution of the first African-American elected from Dane County. So, but still, it's a wonderful resolution.
We'll take care of that next year. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. And thank you, President Jones.
Good.
Thank you.
And let's go.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the election of, I'm almost skipping over the next on our agenda. They're gone. The next on our agenda is the farewell remarks from our two recently resigned supervisors. First, Supervisor Jenny Dye. Do you want to?
Thank you. It's been a while since I've been in this room on this side of things, but one night when I was sitting where Supervisor Danner is now, and it was my chance to give the inspirational, I shared this quote that has guided my work on this board. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. And I'm really proud to say that we did that during my time on the board. And it is emotional for me to say goodbye to you all because you were the people who stood next to me when we did that. And, geez. I am incredibly grateful for the new opportunity that I have every day, but I also will really miss you all because I learned so much from the people who came before me and from all of you when I shared the time on the board with you, from the people who came and stood here, even when they didn't agree with my position. They were passionate, they were engaged. They cared so much about the work that you all are going to continue to do, and I am eternally grateful for that. So, before I continue to cry up here and make a giant puddle for Supervisor Purtle, let me just add, I think often we think of a departure from a board like this as passing the torch, and I don't want to think of it that way because I think what happened for me when I joined this board is that so many of you who served at that time and folks who previously served on this body used your torch to light mine and help light the path that I was on and the path that we took our community down. And so that I hope that what I have done for some of you who have joined this board since that time and what I will continue to do is take that light and that warmth that I got from this body and share it with the world. And I hope that you do the same. And thank you very much for bearing with me through this, but most of all for the honor of serving with you for the last 7 years. It has truly been just a joy, even in the toughest moments, to work with all of you and to serve the people of Dane County. Thank you.
before you walk away, we have a plaque that was sent over by legislators who have served on the county board. Supervisor former supervisor, Representative Hesselbein, Representative Stubbs, and Representative Sargent have all signed this plaque recognizing an appreciation for your many years of dedicated service to the Dane County Board. So. Thank you. And next is
Well, now I'm on notice.
Supervisor Pirtle.
Thanks. So Jenny and I actually came onto the board in the same class, if you will. And perhaps it is poetic on some level that that era was ushered in with a change in government. We came in 2012 after Act 10 and sort of all the uprising and division and stress that came from our communities, came in and served on the board, and now we'll leave at another time of transition with an election of a new governor, and one that will draw very deeply from this body's knowledge and work. And this body, this group of supervisors, both those that are sitting here now and those that have sat in your seats before you, have always made a profound contribution both to the community here in Dane County, but to our government in the state and in the nation. When I came on, I think Clark McDonald was the chair and was a treasured mentor and guide to many of us through that process, and passed that torch to Supervisor Hendrick and to Chair Corrigan, who is just a profound leader, I think, and partner in the work that we have done over the years. And as we think about the people who have sat there, not only do we have folks who have served in this government, but are folks that have gone on to serve in the Assembly and in the Senate and in the Cabinet and in Congress, in the U.S. Senate. Those are folks that sat here in this room and made decisions about the kind of community we want to be. And that is the legacy that we inherited when we came onto this board, and it is the one that you perpetuate and carry with you every day in the decisions that you make. And I think the charge that you face in making those as you go forward is to always sort of carry that commitment to do both important things and big things. And sometimes those will be the same, and sometimes they will not. When I think about our time on the board, many of the things that we did that I think are most important touch people's very daily lives, whether those are nursing rooms in every county building, providing feminine hygiene products, providing paid parental leave to all of our staff. Those changed people's lives in small ways every day, but it touched them. But we also have done great things like cleaning up our lakes and challenging how we're going to do criminal justice and reforming the system and thinking about the changes that need to happen, reimagining what the Alliant Energy Center could be, being at the forefront of equality in decision making. Who we elect matters, how we make our decisions matter, and the fact that not only have you all continued that legacy, but as we embark on this new government, that so many of you serve in it in a variety of capacities, is a testament to what this body does. So, thank you for your friendship and your camaraderie and your leadership, but for doing the right things for the people that you represent, and for knowing that even as we step off, some of the best people I know continue to serve in this government. And that makes me immensely proud to have voted with you, to work with you, to have knocked the doors with you, to make those kinds of changes and commitments. So, thank you very much.
So next on our agenda is election of officers. And the first election that we will be doing is election of first vice chair. Yes, Supervisor Baird.
can we have an opportunity to say something in response, or is that
Absolutely.
not appropriate? I just,
Absolutely.
we can just be here for the rest of the evening talking about this. I just wanted to say very, very quickly that I appreciate the leadership of both of these individuals, but I particularly want to just mention that I really appreciate the camaraderie and leadership from Supervisor Dye. I feel that she, all of us come here with our strong beliefs and our strong ethics and our vision to collaborate, and you get constantly surprised, I think pleasantly surprised, when you realize, oh my God, I've never thought about that, and how much you learn from each other. And the best thing that I've learned from Supervisor Dye is shine theory. And it's not a brand new idea, but Supervisor Dye not only made sure we all knew it, but she acted in it. And it was, I have memories of evenings where it was this lovely, like, pinball bounce of, I would stand up and say, and isn't that great what Supervisor Dye said? And she would stand up and say, isn't that great what Supervisor Baird said? And Sheila would stand up and say, isn't that great what Supervisor, Young has said? And you could hear it, you could see it, you could feel it, and it made you sit up straighter, and it reminded all of us the power of words and actions, and just the beauty of that I had never had the opportunity to have that illustrated the way that Supervisor Dye has illustrated that for me, and I know all of our colleagues, male and female, everyone on this county board. And so I just wanted to point that out, that an individual can do such an amazing leadership role, and I always will be incredibly grateful to have worked with both of them, and particularly Supervisor Dye.
Thank you, Supervisor Baird. Is there anyone else who wanted to weigh in? I think they'll have an opportunity later to give individual farewells too. So now we will, thank you though, Supervisor Baird, for doing that. Next on our agenda is the election of the first vice chair. And the way we'll do this, we'll do nominations, and then if there's more than one person nominated, we'll have a vote on that, and we have paper ballots to do that. So first up is election of first vice chair. Are there any nominations? Supervisor Ritt.
I rise tonight to nominate a person very worthy of the honor and the position. He works very hard to understand the deep layers of every issue. He's always available to listen and to also collaborate. He's an effective leader. We were elected supervisors together on April Fool's Day, 2014. I'm honored to nominate my friend Supervisor Paul Nelson for first vice chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Ritt. Are there any other nominations? Supervisor Downing.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. It is my distinct honor and privilege this evening to nominate Matt Veldran for first vice chair. Matt was first elected in 2006, along with me, in one of the largest freshman classes ever, which included State Representative Sheila Stubbs, our own Carousel Baird, Patrick Miles. I may have missed some. So Matt served as chair of Public Works and Transportation. He's served as chair as the Task Force on Energy Independence, which conducted the initial study that led to the installation of geothermal heating and cooling at the Badger Prairie Health Center, greatly reducing the cost for natural gas and the use of natural gas, while reducing our carbon footprint. As chair of the Energy Independence Subcommittee, he oversaw and implemented county projects from President Obama's energy stimulus package grants. They included multiple energy-efficient projects right here in this building that reduced costs. Some of the first solar panels also right here, also at McKee Farms Park and the Alliant Energy Center. He was early on appointed to the task force on retention of surpluses, profits for the human services POS agencies. He was a member of the Human Services Board. and there he researched, reviewed, and presented potential impacts of family care to the Health and Human Needs Committee. Along with Clerk McDonald, Matt led the efforts for opening Madison's first skate park. And he also introduced one of the most important amendments in our current budget that added 2 neighborhood intervention prevention field support staff to continue to improve youth relationships and help throughout Dane County middle and high schools, most notably La Follette High and in Fitchburg. This summary was provided me courtesy of Matt, but it doesn't really tell the whole story. For one, I know that he served on the Area Agency for Aging along with me, and I'm wondering what else he's left off the list. I know that he's been active in his own neighborhood associations over the years. My point is, Matt is a hardworking, effective leader. Please join me in supporting Supervisor Matt Veldon for first vice chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Downing. Are there any other nominations? Seeing no other nominations, I'm going to close the nominations. So we will now have staff distribute ballots. Is there, I mean, that is an opportunity if you'd like to speak. Yes, Supervisor Keeper.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I wasn't planning on speaking, but I will. I do support Supervisor Paul Nelson for this job, and the main role of the first vice chair, at least in my conception of the job, is to fill in on those rare occasions where you may not be able to chair the meeting. And when I think of who I want to have in that job, I think of it actually similar to how I think of it when someone's running for judge and calls me up to support them for that. You should ask, is that person going to be fair? Is that person going to listen, have everyone have an opportunity to have their say? Is that person going to be able to keep the meeting running in a fair way? And I have served with Supervisor Nelson on the Public Works Committee for this term. And I would say that that, in fact, does happen. I think everyone gets a chance to speak, and the meeting keeps running. And I think he's someone who I would trust him. Obviously, we always would prefer to have you sitting in the chair, but if you're sick or whatever, he's the person I feel would be most able to give me a fair shake if I have something to say, or other people, and to run the meeting. So I just wanted to add that perspective, because we all have different committees and not everyone has been able to serve on a committee with Supervisor Nelson as the chair of that committee. And so that's why I'm supporting him.
Thank you, Supervisor Kiefer. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, I think everyone has their ballot now. So if you'd like to, the 2 candidates are Supervisor Nelson and Supervisor Veldren. So please write down your choice, and then staff will collect the ballots.
Yeah, that's not too low.
I don't know. I'll get it up.
This plan is working out great. Is that everything?
Kara?
Yours.
Oh, thank you. Karen is going to come up. You're going to come up here.
I'm not going to use it.
For church. We'll take a moment to count ballots and then announce, and then we'll do second vice chair. The clerk and Karen have counted the ballots, and Supervisor Nelson is going to be our next first vice chair. Congratulations, Supervisor Nelson. After we complete the elections, I'll give both the first and the second vice chair a chance to say something if you'd like. The next election is for second vice chair. Are there any nominations for second vice chair? Supervisor Young.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am rising tonight to nominate Annalise Eicher for the position of second vice chair. Having served with her on the Health and Human Needs Committee, I know firsthand what a dedicated and tireless public servant she is, in addition to the intelligence and the drive that she brings to policy making. I also have the particular honor of having served in a seat that she served in as well, and that in and of itself shows you what a way paver and leader she is. Please join me in supporting Supervisor Eicher.
Thank you, Supervisor Young. Are there any other nominations? Seeing no other nominations, I'll close the nomination period. And since we have just one candidate for second vice chair, is there any objection to having the ballot be a unanimous ballot, of having it recorded? So that, seeing none, it will be recorded unanimously that our second vice chair is Supervisor Eicher. And I'm happy to let both our first vice chair and second vice chair make a comment if you'd like. Supervisor Nelson.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you very much for your support and confidence in my ability to move into this position, and thank you all for the same way. This is, in a way, a very proud and sad time for us, bittersweet time, as evidenced by the farewells of former supervisors Jenny Dye and Jeff Pirtle, and the impending resignation of Supervisor Kolar. But think about it this way, though. There was a headline in today's paper that referred to Supervisor Kolar as the third appointment to the governor. But I think more broadly speaking, there are 6 people from this board, at least during this term, who have been appointed. Supervisor Kolar, Secretary of the Department of Veterans Affairs, former Supervisor Dye, a Policy Director for the governor, former Supervisor Pirtle, Deputy Secretary in the Department of Children and Families, Supervisor Kuhn, Outreach Director for the Governor, Supervisor Peters, Division Administrator for Workers' Compensation in the Department of Workforce Development, and former Supervisor Danielle Williams, Assistant Deputy Secretary in the Department of Workforce Development. So think of that, 6 people from this body. Who else can claim that? What other group or organization can claim that sort of track record, which I think says a lot about the quality of people we have on this board. So we are obviously going to miss Supervisor Kolar and Dye and Pirtle. We thank them very much for their leadership. But what this presents to the rest of us is that there are going to be opportunities to move up in leadership, probably sooner than you expected for some of the new members. I think we have a good mix now of members who have been on the board for a while. I feel we have a really strong, you could say, freshman class, not just with the election, but some of the resignations and new supervisors. So I know I want to work with Chair Corrigan and Supervisor Eicher to really ensure as we move forward that we continue to have the kind of accomplishments we have, but also to make everyone feel confident and comfortable. So when the time comes that you're asked to take a leadership role, you say, yes, I'm ready to do this. So thank you again. I'm very honored for your support.
Thank you, Supervisor Nelson. Supervisor Eicher.
Thank you, Chair Corrigan. I want to say thank you to all of you, but really to Jenny and Jeff, who we both go way back for various reasons. And I sort of wish I wasn't doing this because that would mean you're still here, but I'm also very happy for you and grateful. And I love local government. I love county government. This is my second time around, as Haley mentioned. Going back to what Supervisor Kuhn said in her inspiration this evening, I love that all of you also love doing this. And so in this new role, I am looking forward to working with each of you in this capacity with your love of your districts and of county government and your commitment to county government and making it the best that it is. And I know we have a long agenda in front of us, so I will just conclude with saying thank you. And let's go vote on some stuff and go home because I'm really tired.
Thank you. On to announcements. Are there any announcements this evening? Supervisor Saloff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I wanted to invite you all out to Cambridge for Artoberfest Gala occasion this weekend, Saturday the 23rd at 7 o'clock at the Cambridge Winery. There's going to be 24 artists displaying their works, and there's going to be a silent auction and a live auction. So I really hope you can come out. I left a postcard on your desk. Thanks. Oh, let me just say you can get tickets at CambridgeWIArts.org, and they're $10 cheaper if you do them online before the occasion. See you Saturday night.
Thank you, Supervisor Saloff. Are there any other announcements? Seeing no other announcements, I have a couple things I wanted to mention. One is birthdays this month. We have a list of them, because quite a few in February. The 2nd of February was Supervisor Saloff's. The 5th, Supervisor Veldran. The 13th, Supervisor Jones. The 13th, also Supervisor Kiefer. The 20th, yesterday, Supervisor Baird. And the 22nd, Supervisor Stubbs. So happy birthday to all of you. And then just mentioning briefly on your desk is there are 2 items on your desk. One is our annual report to kind of give you a summary of some of the of things that we've been working on this year and give you an idea of some of the staff work that's been going on in the office. So if you got questions on that, I'm happy to answer. Our staff will be happy to answer with that. And then secondly, on your desks is the University report that has come out, kind of summarizing some of the findings from University. There are many other documents that accompany that, and if you went to the University website, you can. There's a link to go to Dane County and see all of the reports, but that's a summary report, and I wanted to make sure everybody got a copy of it. And now on to our, there's one other thing we needed to do. Usually when we do the balloting, there's a motion to destroy the ballots. Is there, would anyone like to move? Supervisor Erickson moves, seconded by Supervisor Veldran, that the ballots be destroyed. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. The ayes have it, and those ballots will be destroyed. Next up is approval of payments. On the bills over $10,000 referred to the county board, Supervisor Miles moves approval of those, seconded by Supervisor Nelson. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. The ayes have it, and those bills are approved. Under approval of the county board minutes, the minutes of the January 17th county board meeting, is there a motion on the minutes? Supervisor Kilmer moves, seconded by Supervisor McCarville. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. The ayes have it, and those minutes are approved. On the consent calendar, items F1 to F8, we have one separation, and it is, it is F3. We will separate. Are there any other requests for separation? Supervisor Kiefer.
8, Res 498.
Okay. So Supervisor 3, consent calendar F3 and F8 will be separated. Are there any other requests? So on items F1 and F2 and F4 to F7, is there discussion? Seeing none, to vote on items F1 to F4, 4-7. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. The ayes have it, and those items are approved. On item F3, we have one registrant, Stephen Struss from the Village of Cambridge, wishing to speak in support. Stephen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Board of Supervisors, for taking a moment to accept my public comment. I'm Steve Struss, a village president in Cambridge. We're in the far eastern edge, the hinterlands of Dane County, but we are in Dane County. I want to first thank this board for approving a park grant about 5 years ago. We had the first section of the trail that we built from the Camrock Park up through the village to connect it up going north. And that included a couple of safe crossings on state highways, as well as some new path and some on-road markings. So it was a $144,000 project. $72,000 came from the county here, and then the village and some donations made up the other matching funds. So happy to say that project went well. People are using that path. I walk my dog Max on it almost every night, and it's very much appreciated. So that was phase one, and now we're looking to do the next phase of this path that will take us from the north end of the village up toward the Glacial Drumlin Trail, and that'll allow us to connect into Madison. That trail's now being connected to the west into Madison. It also goes into Jefferson County, so it makes a very nice connection. We're really looking forward to being able to make this next step. We have a committee of about 12 people. That's a good cross-section of, we have our local government on it, myself and some other board members. We have county members, Mr. Saloff, Supervisor Saloff is on the committee, and some bike advocates and others that have been working for a couple of years actually to find the best route that we can go to the north with. And we've hired town and country engineers here in Madison to look at all the various options and do cost estimates. And I think in part their hard work and the work of that committee led us to a very solid plan. And I think that was the reason that the park committee granted us the full ask. We asked for $209,000, hoping we'd get maybe $100,000, maybe $50,000. But lo and behold, they recommended the full $209,000. We're very appreciative of that. Of course, it's a classic example of be careful what you ask for because you may get it. It's a matching grant, so now we have to come up with another $209,000. But we're excited to do that. We're already looking at other grant opportunities. There's a local foundation that we're talking to. There's also stewardship grant. Hopefully that's going to get new energy now with the change in administration. And so we're going to hit the ground hard and raise that. We have 5 years, but we're committed. This committee is, and our village is committed to do this. The village is also, we haven't actually put the money up, but verbally we've said we're going to commit funds to it, about $50,000. So over the 5-year period. So the village sees this as an important economic development feature, as well as just good for our community and for our visitors. It's biking and hiking. It's good for healthy activity, and we think it's important for the future of our community. So I just want to speak in favor of passing, taking the recommendation of the Parks Committee and passing that grant, approving that grant. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the registrant? Okay. You don't, okay. I'm just realizing your name isn't on here. It's we have to change that. Okay. On the resolution 471, is there discussion? Supervisor Saloff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Steve Struss. I sure appreciate your presentation. Just want to let you know the depth of this. The Camrock Park, is south of this trail, or includes this trail. And the old Cannonball train used to come into Cambridge from London. It never got extended down to Rockdale, but that's the trail that the county manages and maintains, and this extends it up. And so we've had on this committee, and we've had a huge participation from Jefferson County. Jefferson County is all in on this trail. They want this to happen. They want to participate with Cambridge and Dane County. And actually, the administrator and the supervisor from Jefferson County came to the Park Commission meeting when this was deliberated. So it's a two-county participation. We've got the town of Oakland, we've got the village of Cambridge, we've got the village of Rockdale, the town of Christiana. So it's a real cooperative effort. So I urge you to support this. We've had to cancel the press release 3 times already. And we've set it for the Dancing Goat Distillery on March 5th. You're welcome to come out there, and Joe Parisi, our county executive, is going to sign the resolution that I hope you pass tonight, because we can cancel it again. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Supervisor Sayla. Supervisor Radcliffe. There you go.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Corrigan. I just wanted to rise tonight to say that I hope that everyone does vote in favor of this. The Park and Ride grant for the Village of Cottage Grove is greatly appreciated by the Village of Cottage Grove Board, by the Village's Park and Recreation Department, and the Public Works Department and staff. This trail will allow Glacial Drumlin State Trail that's near the south end of the village to be connected to McCarthy County Park, which is on the north side of the village. It'll run along Main Street, County Highway N. Currently, there isn't any connection between the north side and the south side that's really safe. So this will make it safe for our residents to walk and bike along Main Street. In addition, it gives greater access to the businesses in our commercial park and to McCarthy County Park, which I don't think currently a lot of residents know about. So this will give greater access to our county park. So I hope you all vote in favor of these grants, as it'll help the Village of Cambridge. It'll also help the Village of Cottage Grove. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Radcliffe. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. The ayes have it, and Resolution 471 is approved. On F8, Resolution 498, the Alliant Energy Center Redevelopment Committee. What's before us is the Public Works and Transportation Committee's recommendation to approve. Is there discussion? Supervisor Kiefer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to focus on lines 32 and 33 of the resolution, where it states that issues including governance and financing must be addressed. And those are the questions that have not yet been addressed at any point in this process, which is, in my mind, as someone who's voting on this, why is the county in the business of running a convention center? And should this convention center that it's become or will become be put under a different governance structure? And where will the $90 million of taxpayer money come from? I want to make clear that by voting for this tonight, I'm not saying I'm voting in favor of anything other than appointing a committee to work on coming up with answers to those 2 questions. And depending on what the answers to those 2 questions may be, we may have a very different discussion when it comes back to this board at some point in the future. But I wanted to highlight it because, since I'm not going to be on the committee, this might be my last opportunity to speak on this before it comes back to us for a vote. And I would point out that there's really 2 phases to any county project. That's one thing I've learned here on county board. And phase 1 is the phase of it's too early to ask questions because nothing's been decided yet. But that's immediately followed by phase 2, which is it's too late to ask questions because everything's been decided. And I think it's important to make sure that we put the questions out there now of the governance and of the $90 million in taxpayer money, and to at least make it clear in terms of my vote that I'm just voting to say I'd like to have a committee work on these and come back to us with what the answer is going to be from their perspective, and then we will, or at least in terms of my vote, make a decision as to how to go forward with that. And so I do look forward to the committee recommendations. I think they do have a difficult job ahead of them, and I hope that they will focus on those 2 key points that up to now have not been addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Kiefer. Is there further discussion on Resolution 498? Supervisor Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you know from a previous Committee of the Whole meeting, we do have a plan. It's 100 pages long, and what this resolution does is gets us started moving forward. Not on all 100 pages. If you recall, this is a phased-in approach. Now, with the Master Planning Oversight Committee, which was formed in 2016, the general goal for them was to keep the Alliant Energy Center self-supporting, which actually it has been since 2015. It took a few years to get out of the Great Recession trough. To enhance its current role as a destination for a variety of events, including the world-class Dairy Expo, and to make the AEC a catalyst for growth in that area of Madison and the county. With a status quo approach, I mean, this is a valuable piece of property. It does host a number of large events and many smaller events, but to just follow the status quo would mean that it likely would lose customers because some groups outgrow the facilities. I know the Wisconsin Library Association, for many years, we were able to have our annual conference in Oshkosh and Appleton, but we grew and they didn't, so we had to go elsewhere. And also, this may lead to having to, not right now, the center is self-supporting, and we don't want to get back to where we have to support it with general tax revenue. So new enhanced facilities, which is the path we're starting on now, will continue to allow the center to be competitive and hopefully to attract new business. So this new development committee, there'll be 13 members. We do have, there were 2 items in the capital budget for this year that are tied in with what we hope to do this year, and that was $250,000 for a pre-design study, which specifically involves a building program, schematic designs, and cost refinements. And also, the committee is going to be looking at stormwater runoff issues, which has been a major concern with neighbors of the center. And then there's a $100,000 that's been set aside for a consultant to help guide the committee through the process. So I think it's good that we're moving forward. There's going to be a lot of steps to this process. Indeed, the governance, finance and governance issues will need to be addressed more thoroughly than they have in the past. But this is one way that we can at least, and the focus will be on the Expo Center as far as the building design and schematics, which is, when you look at the various elements of the Alliant Energy Center, the Expo Hall, the Coliseum, the pavilions, the parking, Willow Island, it is the Expo Center that drives revenue for the entire center. So that's why the Master Planning Committee felt that this was the best place to start. So I really hope that you will support this resolution, and so that we can continue to move forward on this very challenging project. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Nelson. Supervisor Stubbs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the supervisor whose district Alliant Energy Center is in, I stand here with great pride to say we have had a very extensive and exhaustive input sessions that included our stakeholders, private stakeholders, neighborhood, bordering residents, and I think that we are in the direction to move forward. This is a plan. If you don't plan, then you plan to fail. And I stand here today to say I do not plan to fail a neighborhood. Let's talk about where Alliant Energy Center is located, 164 acres in the middle of South Madison, that is economically deprived, exhaustive. We need to create jobs. And what I can say, our first steps is we've submitted a grant to the state for $36 million. That is a first step, looking for dollars. In addition to that, 1,400 jobs could be created. We stand here oftentimes, and I'm proud to say to be a member of this board that we're always trying to do what's right for this county and our constituents. And I can say here today, I don't know who in this seat does not want to create jobs, good life-sustaining jobs for their constituents. That makes me proud. This plan here actually is going to generate nearly $3 million in annual local property sales and room tax. We are looking at an estimate of $90 million that would stimulate more than $205 million. This is an investment. And I'm saying that if we don't invest in the Lion Energy Center, we are going to fail this county. We're going to fail the Lion Energy Center, and that is not the direction that we want to go. Now, we can have this debate, we can have this conversation, but I am sick and tired of being sick and tired, when in fact, here's a problem before us. As a past member of the Lion Energy Center Commission, I can say that we were struggling for dollars under the last administration, and I can say now that we have moved to generate money, to generate savings. And this is the point at which we need to become a better partner. And so I'm asking you today to really think about what we're going to get as a best investment. 1,400 jobs. And we're talking about in South Madison when many other people, very low income, economically income. But I can say that there was the 3E approach. We talked about equity. We talk about our environment, and we talk about economic development. Here is a plan to do all three. So I ask you to not stand here and debate, and you may have a concern with an issue. It's gone through a lot of process. We've had a lot of inclusion. This is not the time to stand before this board and decide to, let's slow down the process because there's something I don't like. You had an opportunity. You've had over a year of opportunities. This is the time to stand up and move forward with this plan, and I urge you to actually support this resolution. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Stubbs. Is there further discussion on Resolution 498? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. The ayes have it, and Resolution 498 is approved. On H, reports on zoning petitions, we have H1 to H9. Are there any requests for separation? Seeing no requests for separation, items H1 to H9, what's before us is the recommendation of the zoning committee, is there discussion on items H1 to H9? Seeing none, on the recommendation of the zoning committee on items H1 to H9, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. The ayes have it, and those recommendations are approved. Under I, ordinances, Ordinance 10, amending Chapter 15 of the Dane County Code of Ordinances regarding members of the Human Services Board. What's before us is the Health and Human Needs Committee's recommendation for approval. Is there a motion on the Executive Committee action? Supervisor Baird.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I want to move, so it went to Executive Committee twice because it came to this full board and it got re-referred. So I want to move the action by the Executive Committee on January 17th, 2019.
And that is to amend, do you want me to read? I'll read that so that we have it. The action that Supervisor Baird is moving is that the ordinance be amended to delete 7 so that it reads, one human services member, the Human Services Board shall consist of 9 members, and that motion was carried by the committee. Is there a second on Supervisor Baird's motion? Supervisor Schauer seconds. Is there discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. The ayes have it, and that amendment is approved. On Ordinance Amendment 10 is amended. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. The ayes have it, and Ordinance Amendment 10 as amended is approved. Ordinance Amendment 31, amending Chapter 18 of the Dane County Code of Ordinances, making the Executive Deputy Airport Director a contract position. What's before us is the Public Works and Transportation Committee's recommendation for approval. Is there discussion on Ordinance Amendment 31? Supervisor Schauer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having been on 2 committees that has looked at this extensively, Public Works as well as the Airport Commission, I believe that this is the way to go, and I want to commend the current Airport Commissioner for her work to date, and I think finding somebody from that same list will only speed and continue the good work that they're doing over there. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Schauer. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Ordinance Amendment 31 say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the ordinance amendment is approved. Under M, items requiring a 2/3 majority for passage, we have M1 to M9. And I want to point out that M8, amending the budget for climate action plan modeling, was pending executive committee action this evening. Executive committee unanimously approved that item this evening. So on items M1 to M9, are there any requests for separation? Seeing no requests for separation, these items do require a 2/3 majority for passage. I'd like to have them recorded as having passed unanimously. Is there any objection to that? Seeing none, they will be so recorded. And under special orders of business, we have 2 items under special orders of business. They are not items that require action of the board. They are the town of Blooming Grove and the town of Cottage Grove adopted the comprehensive zoning changes that we made. And in order for them to be effective in their communities under statute, we have to have them in the proceedings of the board. State statute requires that. It's not something we've had to deal with in a long time because this is the first time in quite some time that we've had the comprehensive rewrite of county zoning. But as these come in from the towns as they're approved, we'll be putting them on the county board agenda so that they will be in the proceedings of the county board. And so we are now on to such other business as the county board is authorized to conduct by law. Anyone wishing to weigh in? Supervisor Kolar.
Thank you, Chair Corrigan. No surprise what I'm going to say. It's in the newspaper, and people are reading there on Facebook and posting it. I'm just saying. So there's so many things that I would like to say. I can't say it more eloquently than our fellow supervisors have said tonight. One of the things I am quoted as saying, which is absolutely true, it's working with you that has been a part of leading to my appointment to serve as the Secretary of Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs. And today I was asked if I was going to make the position political, and I was taken aback. It's not a political position. And I've told the story of I had an opportunity right away to be sitting next to a senator who represents a different party than I belong to, and to be able to stand up and say that. But I was reminded tonight that this board is a nonpartisan board. And I truly believe that. We have, as again was elegantly stated, the debates, the differences, but working through it. And I know, as again has been said, so much has been done by this board that it doesn't matter a party affiliation or political leaning. We're making a difference in people's lives, and you can sleep well at night knowing that. I also want to say that I'm from a background where you are always preparing those who will come behind you or relieve you, however you want to look at it. And I'm going to say what I said to Chair Corrigan in front of staff, that when you read the paper or see what people have done that have been on Dane County Board, and including our colleague who has passed, what they have accomplished. I commend Chair Corrigan for what she has done to continue to develop, notice the leadership capabilities and other capabilities that are in this room, and continue to see it grow, whether it's within this county or beyond. So, Chair Corrigan, thank you very much for your leadership, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention the tremendous staff. This county has tremendous public employees. Our governor, the first day, he had to come out and say, you know, we should acknowledge state employees and their success and competency, and they should be respected. And I would say that applies to everybody, and particularly the employees of Dane County. So I'm going to be quiet because I have invited you all to come to our condo. So thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Kolar. We'll miss you as we're missing our other colleagues too. So thank you all for your service. Anyone else wishing to weigh in on such other business? Seeing no one, is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Nelson, seconded by Kolar. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. The ayes have it, we are adjourned. But Supervisor Stubbs, you can, I'm sorry that I took that.
That's okay. I just wanted to say to our Supervisor Kohler that we'll have a plaque for you from the colleagues at the state later for next month for you to come back to us and present. So I want you to know that.
Thank you, Supervisor Stubbs. Sorry.